All right, hey, it's Ed O'Keefe, and today we're going to talk about finding your perfect client, customer, or patient for your business. Now, everybody is so excited about when they start a business, like, well, how do I find out the ideal client? How do I find out my ideal customer? How do I, you want to generate a profit, right? And when you have a big business or a business that's been around for a while, it's really, really easy to figure out who your best clients are. The tough part is when you're starting out or you're just growing, that you're what I in my experience, even myself, is like I'm nervous about bringing in clients that are customers, or when I work with dental offices for so many years, the biggest gripe they have is that they're dealing with patients they just don't want to deal with. Now, I'll tell you a quick funny story, and then I'll give you the best way that I know of finding your ideal client, your perfect patient, your perfect customer. And the counterintuitive thing is that your perfect customer is going to come from your worst customer, not that person, but your worst customer is going to teach you exactly who your perfect customer is. Let me give you a quick example. When I started my coaching business in dentistry, our thing we did was we helped dentists get patients who stay, pay, and refer. That was kind of our thing. Like, they come to your practice pre-qualified. We had a whole sequence that taught people how to get pre-qualified, and then we had a referral system, and then retention, right? That's the three pillars in most dental practices. And so running a coaching business, usually if you run a coaching business or a mentoring business, usually your model is you sell some kind of low ticket product or service, and then you invite people to a live event or a high ticket mastermind. And that could be reversed. There's many ways to do this, but just to kind of give you some context. So I was brand new at this. I was super excited. We're going back 20 years, where I was probably 27 years old. I had been in direct response marketing and learning and making mistakes and barely making any money, to finally, by going into this market, big market, they have money. I was able to solve a problem they have, but I was new in the market, and I'm running live events and live trainings. And then I ended up doing a mastermind, and I kid you not, one of my clients started suing me, but he didn't even realize that he was suing me. So, I mean, think about that. You have hey, you're a client, you're coming to my live mastermind, you're suing me right now, but you don't even realize you're suing me. And that actually happened. Now, let me give you the story. So, one of the things we did is we provided marketing materials on cosmetic dentistry, on implant dentistry, whatever it might be. And we put in there like fake images of, what would you call them? Stock imagery that the doctor is supposed to replace. And then we also put in like fake testimonials, like, hey, I love Fitzpatrick Dental Care. Dr. Fitz is the best, blah, blah, blah. I came in, my smile, I was frustrated, and now my smile is beautiful. Like stuff like that, like really common sense stuff. The common sense thing is if I gave you a mock postcard or a mock advertorial or a mock, brochure, and it's supposed to be of your patients, what is the common sense thing that you would assume your client would do? 3, 2, 1. I would assume that they would customize it. I mean, we gave them the Word documents back then. We gave them everything. In fact, we had, now that I recall, we had a done for you graphic design team that actually customized the programs for them. Now, here's the thing, right? So this doctor takes a patient of his, a really well-known realtor in his area. Like, so, realtors, they're really aware of their brand. They don't want to look stupid. And in fairness to this lady, they want to tell the truth. And so this doctor took our mock-up like testimonial, put her face on it, and sent it out to the entire, I think, 10,000 direct mail pieces to the local community who know this lady. And so it said something, I think the testimonial was something like, I was so embarrassed by my smile before going to Dr. So-and-so. After I'm done with it, so it's a typical before and after picture. After going to Dr. So-and-so, I now can smile with confidence. It's beautiful. It's perfect, whatever it might be. Anyhow, so like attorneys like money, right? So this lady starts suing Dr. So-and-so, and Dr. So-and-so, without even being aware of it, which I find it hard to believe, and I did then, and his attorney started suing me. Now, I was younger. Like, so if this happened today, I would immediately be on a phone call with him, or my attorney be like, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but we need to send him a letter saying he's not welcome to any of our events. Or I would call him immediately and be like, dude, what are you suing me for? Like, so I would have that, like, especially with clients, like, this is so red flaggish that, or, actually nowadays what I would have done is I would have just refunded all his money and be like, you're no longer a client of mine. And, something along that. I would get guidance on that, but I didn't handle it that way. What did I do? I did nothing. I was a young guy, just starting to learn, and I allowed this guy to come to my mastermind. And here's the craziest funky thing about this. So this guy spent 2 days with us, 3 days with us. We were in Tahoe actually for our mastermind. And what did I kind of do? I kind of just blew him off. Like, he tried talking to me. I didn't really talk to him, totally passive. Not the way I would handle it today. But, we learn from these types of things. And finally, he pulls me aside. He's like, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure. He goes, well, what's going on? I'm like, hey, dude, do you realize you're suing me? And he's like, no, I'm not. And so he went on and defended himself. Da, 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 da. And then what did he do? He went back and he found out he was suing me. And then he justified why it was okay for him to sue me. So this is one example. So needless to say, we stopped working together. Needless to say, this was a ploy to get them to settle, me to settle, and then give this gal whatever money was owed her for her damages, right? So anyhow, what did I learn from this? This is where the big lesson comes. So I would put this guy in one of the worst client categories. Now, there were some red flags beforehand. I'm going to go through a few red flags because you could either throw them into your category of like what a good client is or what not a good client is. I mean, when I work with a client one-on-one, the first thing I do with them, especially if we're going to do an interview together where I help them sell their services or I'm going to advise them on the marketing system, the number one most important thing we got to do is figure out who are we talking to. And I'm not going to go too far in depth on that just because it'll take us off track a little bit. But if I know who I'm talking to, then it's a very profitable customer, it's my dream client, then I could build my marketing around that, right? So this guy is the opposite of that, right? And so what I started realizing was, look, this is what my perception was of him. Number one, I perceived he was super successful because he was a cosmetic dentist. He was only looking for high cases. And what I found out through experience is, if the dentist is only looking for one type of patient, now I can do that with dental implant cases, but dental implant doctors also can do comprehensive dentistry. They usually can do veneers. They usually do crown and bridge. They usually do other things. So if we get them more patients than just a dental implant case from our marketing efforts together, they're able to make it a profitable win-win. They're really easy to work with. So that's over here. So I was able to say, this guy over here only wants to charge like $120,000 full mouth cases, and he's really particular, and he's pretty anal. These are my checklists: pretty anal, full of himself. And now, how do I know he's full of himself? Well, there's a lot of things, but a couple of the ways I found out that he was full of himself is when we did masterminds or events. He didn't ever associate himself with the common people, and he actually, on my first engagement with him in my first seminar, talk down about how most of these guys over here really don't know what they're doing and that he does know what he's doing. I would have considered that a red flag now. Like, that doesn't mean like if you and I were talking, you're like, well, what most people don't realize is blank, 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 and you're giving like distinctions. But if you're talking down about clients, people who are looking to better themselves, you're immediately not allowed in my category just because I don't have time for that. I have 7 kids. We're raising good people that are looking to make the world better. And part of our rule sets are we don't make fun of people and we don't talk down on people. So that would go boom. That's a worst case scenario or client scenario. And so then I would put in that. What's the opposite of that? Well, I want somebody who's going to contribute to my environment. And what I mean by that is that they appreciate your expertise. So if you're running an event, you're running client stuff, you're doing fundraisers, whatever you're doing, they're there to make the room better, and they're there to serve. And so what I found is that I don't do well, and this is me personally. Like if somebody just wants to come and learn and not engage with anybody, what I found is that one-on-one consulting is like maybe they're an introvert, maybe they're super busy, maybe they're just here to get stuff, whatever it might be. But I found like, hey, you are better suited for a one-on-one consultation, but you're really not feeding my room. You're not feeding the group, and you're not all in on making yourself better. Because as I teach my kids, when you walk into volleyball practice, your job is to be a good teammate. And if you're on the better side, or even worse side talented, your job is to make the space better. That is one of our core tenets in my family. Like your job is to leave the place where you were better than when. Wait. When you leave it, it should be better than when you entered it, just because of your presence, my positivity, my effort, my energy, blah blah blah. And so for me, this is my criteria. You could steal my criteria, because this is a way to make your business better. Is I only want to be with people that look at, like, I take responsibility for my results. When I make mistakes, I understand that it's my responsibility now to move forward. Because those clients and those people to work with, whether I'm working in an environment of coaching sports or we're working on growing a business, you want to work with like people that are in the power, control, and responsibility category, not the I'm a victim, everything bad happens to me, it's other people's fault, and we're always pushing off. So you see where I'm going with this? Now, I just gave you characteristics. You could assume that when I go to like say the dental case, so like I'm talking about dental implant doctors and I'm talking about cosmetic dentists, like I could assume that those case sizes are going to be overall big. Okay, so which brings me to my next thing. Let's talk about money, right? So I've done a lot of consulting, I've done a lot of coaching, and I've run businesses in supplements, food, and e-commerce brands, right? And whether my average transaction side is say $54 or $5,000, like with the different businesses, there's always going to be your little outliers that start showing you the path of your best clients. Okay. And that's where we focus. And so let's say you have 100 sales or you've dealt with 10 clients. I mean, this doesn't have to be really thing, but if you've dealt with 10 clients, like if you and I are sitting here today and I'm talking to you and I'm like, hey, listen, let's list out the three most profitable, wrong hand, three most profitable and most fun and most easy to help clients. This could be done in supplements too, by the way. Like who are the people that were the most profitable, least refunds, most engaged with your emails, bought other products, have a longer lifetime value. Where did they come from? Why did they come in? And then where are the three worst? And what's really important is to look at, I don't know why this is, but there's usually a correlation on your three worst. You will identify the pathway at which they came in. And if you do this, you'll start going like, wow, they came from this magazine or this email list or this source, like could be Facebook, this audience, or Instagram, this audience, or, whatever network you might be on. There's usually correlations to it. They only bought one thing and the other three, like they complained. We saw a complaint. Like you start getting these patterns, right? And so there's a great book. I'm gonna on my next video on the channel. I'm gonna talk about this. I got to write this down right when we get off because it's such a good book where you could utilize multiple channels and use direct mail and phone and text, and your best clients respond to those very favorably. Your worst clients completely ignore those. And in a very quick moment, we can go from removing our worst clients to only focusing on our best clients. And what happens in that, and this will be all I have to say about this, we'll wrap this up. What happens when you do that is you'll notice a bunch of things. Number one, you don't need as many employees if you have a ton of employees. You don't need as big of an overhead if you currently do. Now, and I talked about this in different training about high performers. We try and remove friction. So if you're a high performer, which means you're watching this video, you and I are talking together right now. My bet is you are a high performer, and high performers, if I can get you to focus on where's your most profit at and how do we remove everything that's preventing you from serving, finding, serving, attracting, converting this audience and building raving fans for life, then guess what? You know what? You are going to have the best next 3 months, but then the next best 12 months. And it's just going to be really compounding. And more importantly, my friend, if we can remove, like, see how heavy this is down here? Remove all those people, those customers, those channels, those things that are just holding you back. Usually only the CEO can make these moves, only the president, only the entrepreneur. And here's why: because you're the one focused on that, like quality growth, quality profit versus just quantity. And I've made all these mistakes, guys. I've run businesses very cash poor because I've let it all in my door, and I'm like, we're growing. But while the good quality is trying to be a part of your business, they're also getting kicked out and they're leaving due to this group that's down here. One last thing, and I'll let you go. Like Perry Marshall wrote the book 80-20 Rule for marketing and advertising. It's based on the work for Richard Koch did, called the 80-20 principle, which is the Pareto principle. Many of you have heard this before. It's nothing new. Perry did a great job of just distilling it down to how to apply it to marketing. But in the simplest sense, one thing he said was very brilliant, was that you've already overspent money on your worst category of clients. So when you identify those, flip it on its head and say, okay, great. Here's everything I don't like about working with these people. And here's what I like about working with these people. And then your job every quarter, every year is to keep getting more of these, but up level and up level and up level. And that's the pathway that you can do. Sound good? Okay, cool. So 2 quick things. One is the Ed O'Keefe Show is absolutely free. I put it on YouTube. We syndicate it across Spotify and all the other channels. If you are not a subscriber, my staff told me this, that 92% of the people who watch my videos never subscribe. So right now, please do me a favor, click subscribe. If you can comment, it helps my algorithm, helps me get the message out. It tells YouTube and all the other channels that you may be watching this on that, look, this is good content. We're engaged on it. So if you have a question, please post it. If you have a comment, please post it. Last thing is that if you haven't seen my book, Time Collapsing, I give away the free PDF over at my website at edokeefelive.com. That's edokeefelive.com. And the coolest thing is that when you register at the site, not only do you get a free book, I have a 7-day crash course in everything that you need to know to transform your business, your body, and your brand. So one thing I'm focused so much on right now is just helping experts and CEOs utilize their brand to dramatically grow their business. We are definitely it's kind of a tangent, but I'll chat with you briefly, we are definitely in an age where when we used to spend all this money on just cold advertising direct to consumers, and that was the only way to grab customers, but we weren't using channels like YouTube and Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok, Twitter, Spotify, and all the different podcasting platforms. Also with even like the opportunity to turn your valuable content into ebooks and Substacks. Like there's so many ways for you to be syndicated to where you're constantly attracting new leads to your business and edifying your business and being edified. It's a really powerful time of life. So super passionate, have a few opportunities to support you with those things. But more importantly, get in my free 7-day transform your business, your body, and your personal brand. And let me give you my best stuff training that I have, a few free gifts that over there. And I think you'll be really happy. So I think that's it. That's all we got today. So let me know what you thought and have an amazing day. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.